I shouldn't have left at night. That was my first mistake. Everyone tells you not to drive Route 50 alone after dark, not because of the winding turns or the wildlife, but because of the silence. They call it the loneliest road in America for a reason. I had just filled up my tank at the Sinclair station on Altman Street in Ely, Nevada. The neon sign of the Hotel Nevada was buzzing behind me, a gambler's beacon in the high desert. It was 11:45 p.m. My GPS said I had about an hour to get to Eureka, the next town over. Just 77 miles of asphalt cutting through the Great Basin. I pulled out onto the highway, the street lights of Ely vading in my rearview mirror like dying embers. Within minutes, the world shrank down to just the cone of my high beams. The darkness out here isn't like the darkness in the city. It's heavy. It presses against the glass.
10 miles in, the radio signal began to die. I was listening to a classic rock station out of Salt Lake City, but the static started to chew on the edges of the song until it was just white noise. I reached over and turned the dial. Nothing but the hiss of the empty atmosphere. I turned it off. That was my second mistake. Now the only sound was the hum of the tires on the pavement and the rhythmic thumping of the lane markers passing underneath. Thump, thump, thump. It becomes hypnotic. I glanced at the digital clock on the dashboard. 12:15 a.m. I calculated the distance in my head. I should be passing through the Robinson Summit soon. The elevation climbs there. I pressed harder on the gas, anxious to see the lights of another car, a truck, anything. But the road was a black river, completely empty in both directions. That's when I saw him. Or it. It was just past the turnoff for the Ward charcoal ovens. My headlights swept across a figure standing on the gravel shoulder. A man. He was wearing a gray hoodie, hood up, hands buried deep in his pockets. He didn't have his thumb out. He wasn't hitchhiking. He was just standing there, facing the desert, his back to the road. I swerved slightly, my heart hammering against my ribs. You don't see people walking out here. It's 40 miles from civilization in any direction. I checked the rearview mirror, bathed in the red glow of my taillights. He was gone, swallowed by the night instantly. Just a drifter, I whispered to myself. My voice sounded too loud in the cab. Just a crazy drifter. I tried to shake the feeling of dread settling in my stomach. I focused on the road. Mile marker 40. Keep driving.
I drove for what felt like another 30 minutes. My eyes were burning from staring at the yellow lines. The road unwound straight ahead, endless. I looked at the clock again to check my arrival time. 12:15 a.m. I frowned, tapping the dashboard plastic. That wasn't right. It was 12:15 when I lost the radio signal. I had been driving at 70 miles per hour for at least half an hour since then. I pulled my phone out of the cup holder. No service, of course, but the time on the screen matched the car. 12:15 a.m. A cold sweat broke out on the back of my neck. Maybe the battery in the car clock was dying? Maybe my phone froze. I tossed the phone onto the passenger seat. "Calm down," I said. "You're just tired. Highway hypnosis." I looked up through the windshield. Up ahead, on the right shoulder, a figure, gray hoodie, back turned to the road. I slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching against the asphalt, skidding to a halt 50 feet past him. I sat there, breathing hard, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I looked in the mirror. Nothing. Just the red dark.
I didn't get out of the car. I slammed my foot on the accelerator, tires spinning before catching traction.
I needed to get to Eureka. I needed to see streetlights, a gas station, a person. The terrain started to change. I was climbing Antelope Summit. The air gets thinner up here, the curves sharper. The temperature gauge on my dash dropped to 30 degrees. I drove fast, too fast. I watched the mile markers. Mile 28, mile 27. The numbers were going down, counting down to Eureka. That was good. That was real. But then I saw the sign. A green reflective highway sign coming up on the right. My headlights hit it, and I felt my blood turn to ice. Eli. 5 miles. No, that's impossible. I left Eli an hour ago. I've been driving west. I haven't turned around. I passed the summits. I passed the junction. How could I be 5 miles from where I started?
I grabbed my phone again. 1 bar of service, just 1 flickering bar. I didn't call the police. I don't know why. I called my brother. I needed a familiar voice to anchor me to reality. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Hello? His voice was groggy, sleepy. Mark? Mark, listen to me. Something is wrong with the road. Dave? What time is it? You okay? I'm on Route 50. I can't get out of Ely. I keep driving, but the road just loops back. And the time, Mark, the time won't change. There was a silence on the other end, a long, heavy static. Mark? Dave? His voice sounded different now, closer, metallic. You shouldn't have stopped for him. What? Who? I didn't stop for anyone. You stopped, the voice on the phone said, but it wasn't Mark anymore. It was a flat, monotone sound. You stopped to look. Now you're part of the mile. The call cut. The screen went black. I threw the phone against the dashboard. The screen shattered, but it didn't turn off. It just glowed with that sickly white light. I gripped the wheel and floored it. The speedometer climbed, 80, 90, 100. The old sedan shook violently, the engine screaming in protest. I didn't care. I just wanted to see the Welcome to Eureka sign. I wanted to see the brick facade of the Eureka Opera House, the gas stations, the sheriff's car sitting by the courthouse, anything human. Then, silence. No explosion, no smoke. The engine simply cut out. The power steering locked up instantly. The headlights died. I was doing 100 miles an hour in total darkness. I slammed the brakes, wrestling the heavy metal beast as it drifted sideways across both lanes. The tires roared against the pavement, a sound like a dying animal, until finally the car shuddered to a stop. I sat there in the absolute pitch black. I turned the key. Nothing. Not even a click. I tried the headlight switch. Dead. The only light came from the broken phone on the floor, casting weird, jagged shadows against the roof of the car. I stayed inside the car for what felt like hours. It started to get cold, the high desert cold that seeps into your bones. I could see my breath misting in the faint light of the phone. Then I heard it. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Footsteps on the asphalt. Slow, deliberate, coming from behind the car. I locked the doors manually. Click, click. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the silence. The footsteps stopped. I held my breath, my heart beating so hard I could feel it pulsing in my throat. A face pressed against the driver's side window. It wasn't a monster. It wasn't a ghost with a rotting face. It was the man in the gray hoodie. But now, he wasn't looking away. He was looking right at me. And the terrifying part, He had no face. Where his features should have been, there was just smooth, pale skin. No eyes, no mouth, just a blank canvas of flesh.
I screamed. I scrambled over the center console, kicking the gear shift, and threw open the passenger door. I tumbled out onto the road, scraping my hands on the rough tarmac. I didn't look back. I ran. I ran off the road into the sagebrush. The darkness was absolute, but I stumbled forward blindly. The sharp bushes tore at my jeans, scratching my legs. I ran until my lungs burned, until the air tasted like copper. I collapsed near a rocky outcrop. I curled into a ball, shivering. "This isn't real," I sobbed. "I'm in bed. I'm asleep in Ely. I never left." I looked up at the sky, expecting to see the stars, but there was nothing. No Milky Way, no moon, just a flat, matte black ceiling, as if someone had painted over the universe. And then, in the distance, I saw headlights. 2 beams of light cutting through the void. A car was coming down Route 50. I scrambled to my feet. "Hey! Hey!" I waved my arms, stumbling back toward the highway. "Help me! Please!" The car was moving fast. Too fast. It was weaving slightly, crossing the center line. As it got closer, I froze. It was a sedan. A dark blue sedan. One headlight was slightly dimmer than the other. It was my car. I stood on the gravel shoulder, paralyzed. I watched as the car approached. I could see the driver inside. He was gripping the wheel, his knuckles white. He looked terrified. He looked exhausted. He looked exactly like me. And then I realized I wasn't the driver anymore. I looked down at my body. I was wearing my gray hoodie. I raised my hands to my face, but I couldn't feel my nose. I couldn't feel my mouth. The car, my car, came screeching toward me. The driver, me, slammed on the brakes. The tires smoked. The car skidded to a halt just 50 feet past me.
The memory hit me harder than the cold. It wasn't 12:15 a.m. now. It was 12:15 a.m. then. I remembered the radio cutting out. I remembered looking down to fiddle with the dial. I remembered looking up just in time to see the elk standing in the middle of the road. I swerved. I overcorrected. The car flipped once, twice, down the embankment into the ravine. I didn't survive the crash. I died instantly. My body is still down there, twisted metal and shattered glass, hidden by the sagebrush, invisible from the road. What has been driving for the last hour? What called my brother? The driver in the car, the other me. He peeled out, speeding away toward the summit, terrified of the figure on the side of the road, terrified of me. I watched his taillights fade into the distance. He's gonna drive 5 miles. He's gonna see the sign that says Ely 5 miles. He's gonna call Mark. And then he's gonna crash. He is trapped in the last hour of his life. And I am trapped here, watching him. I turned my back to the road. I faced the endless, empty desert. I put my hands in my pockets. The wind picked up, howling through the canyons of the Great Basin. Route 50 isn't just a road, it's a record. And sometimes when the needle gets stuck, it plays the same song forever. I wait for the headlights. Here he comes again.